call to order for a Watertown City Council meeting for November 3rd of 2025. We have a special guest with us tonight. Captain Dennis Jolly from the Salvation Army is going to lead us in prayer. So everyone please stand. Yep. And just press the button until the red light comes on. Or green.
Thank you. Let's pray, guys. Father, we thank you so much for this day you've given us. We thank you so much for this opportunity to serve this beautiful community. And Father, right now I pray for wisdom and discernment on our leaders. I pray, God, as we enter this Thanksgiving season, that we will remember those less fortunate than us. Father, we thank you again just for this opportunity and just this time that we can come talk. Just be with this meeting. In Jesus' name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Finance Officer Bob Zine, please call the roll.
Okay. Helene,
Here.
Warman.
Here.
Jurens.
Here.
Peters.
Here.
Shetty.
Here.
Allen.
Here.
Hoyer.
Here.
Thank you.
Quorum is established. Chair is going to ask if anyone has a conflict of interest disclosure tonight. Councilman Hoyer.
Mayor, I'm going to be recusing myself from 12E.
All right, thank you. Just making a note of that. Anyone else? All right. I'm going to call for an action to approve the agenda, but we have two items that we are pulling tonight. We are going to pull item 12M, which is the second reading of an ordinance on the storage district. We're pulling that one tonight. And then we are also pulling 13D, which is on the rate schedule at the landfill. So both of those are going to be pulled tonight. With those corrections or those changes, can I get a motion to approve the agenda? Motion made by Peters, seconded by Shetty. Any conversation on that? Motion is to approve the agenda. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. We're on to open forum. So if there's anyone here who would like to address the council on something that is not on tonight's agenda, now is your time to do so. And just please identify yourself, who you might be representing.
Hi, my name is Laura Heathcote. I'm the Executive Director of Watertown Area United Way.
I'm Captain Dennis Jolly with the Salvation Army.
And I just wanted to give you an update in regards to the ongoing federal government shutdown and the potential disruption of SNAP benefits to individuals in our community. The Watertown Area United Way is working closely with our partner agencies and monitoring that. In September, 960 households in Cottington County, including 721 children, received SNAP assistance. These benefits play a vital role in keeping local families fed and supported. To help meet the growing needs, we ask that all non-perishable food items and food donations be directed to the Salvation Army. I met with our over 30 local partner agencies that receive funding from United Way, and we discussed our options last week. And we also met with members from the Beacon Center, Grace Lutheran Church, the Watertown Banquet, of how we can best serve individuals in our need and also make sure that the resources that are being provided are getting into the hands that need them most. We want to extend a heartfelt thanks to our community members that have stepped up and that are hosting food drives to support our neighbors during this uncertain time. Your generosity and compassion are make Watertown a stronger community. This week, Hy-Vee is offering low-cost family meals from 4 to 7 for $3, and children 12 and under eat for free. And then we're also working with other organizations to make sure that hot meals are available for our community members. The banquet will continue to serve a hot meal on Monday evening. Grace Lutheran Church will open up for a community meal on Wednesday. And then starting Friday, November 14th, the Salvation Army will be hosting a warm meal on Friday evening to prepare for the weekend. The Salvation Army has seen a great increase, even within the last week, of the individuals that they are serving. And because of that demand, they are going from 1 food box a month up to 2 food boxes a month for individuals. And then we also have an updated food list. As organizations, things pop up, we'll have an updated food list on CoddingtonConnects.com. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, so we do also Thanksgiving baskets, and I just want to give you some numbers on that. As of last week, we were at 200, and if I want to say a little over 200. Today, after people signing up, we're at about 360. So that's just over the weekend. And then for food boxes today, we usually typically give out 30. We gave out 64 food boxes. So the need is huge. And people are scared, people are worried, but the Salvation Army with our partners at United Way, we're going to make sure people get fed. So.
Yes, we will continue to work closely with our partner agencies like the Salvation Army and other organizations that have clients and individuals within our community to coordinate resources to make sure that every neighbor has access to food, stability, and hope during this uncertain time. So thank you for the opportunity to come in and share.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to address the council tonight on something not on the agenda? I'll close open forum. And we will head into item 10A, an approval of amendments to the personnel policy for the city of Watertown, South Dakota, and authorizing the city manager to administer the personnel policy as needed. We will go to said city manager, Alan Steger.
Thank you, Mayor. Before you tonight is a proposed change to the personnel policy. As you might recall, about 7 or 8 months ago, a new comprehensive personnel policy was put in place for the city. At that time, the personnel policy excluded any provisions around creating or utilizing a sick bank program for our team. We have recognized that we do have a need for a sick bank. We have generous team members who are willing to donate time to team members that have a need. One of the issues that we've had with prior sick bank policies is it was pretty regimented and only utilizable by the employee themselves. And so after staff has reviewed this, we've had discussions with one of our union representatives. We're bringing forward a change that allows us to have a sick bank program in place whereby a team member for their own illness or situation, as well as any dependent under the Family Medical Leave Act, would be a qualifying event under the policy. Essentially how this works is a employee will identify through human resources that they have a need. That will go to a small committee that I will chair. That committee will have representation from the unions as well as management staff and HR providing counsel to that committee. After there is an approval of a need, then other employees will be allowed to fill out a form to donate a certain amount of hours. The requirement to do that is a person making a donation must start with a bank of over 200 hours of their own so that we don't have people giving up time that they may need on their own. So looking at this from the standpoint of the budget, it's really budget neutral. We're taking an accrued bank of time that many people are accruing for perhaps a supplemental retirement as these hours accrue to the end of their career, and they're allowing these hours to be utilized by one of their teammates who has an immediate need. To recommend approval of this policy, and also want to call your attention to another policy change we are actively looking at. The city currently lacks a short-term disability insurance coverage. That's pretty rare across the the employers that we compete with for team members. And where this becomes important oftentimes is when a city employee is pregnant or gives birth or an adoption of a child. We really don't have a benefit for those team members. And we'd also like to look at how in the future we could utilize a sick bank with perhaps a city donation of time to allow us to be more attractive as an employer to those particular team members. I'll stand by for any questions.
Thank you, City Manager. I know that there's at least a couple people who are here to watch this. I don't think that they wanted to testify, but I will open a public hearing on this if anyone did want to testify. Okay, thank you. Close the public hearing. Can I get a motion from the council to approve the amendment and authorize the signature? Or authorize the administration, sorry.
One clarification, if you could, ask that it be authorized effective with the November payroll.
With council's approval, I think that we can just put that into the original motion and not have to do an amendment. So the motion would read, approval of an amendment to the personnel policy for the city of Watertown, South Dakota, and authorizing the city manager to administer the personnel policy as needed, effective within the November 2025 payroll
That works.
timeframe?
That's fine.
Okay. So that would be the motion. Can I get a motion from the council? Motion made by Councilman Mormon, seconded by Councilman Shetty. Let's open it up for discussion, council. Councilman Shetty.
Thank you, Mayor. So yeah, just a question. Is there some sort of a minimum requirement or some kind of standard to go by to at least start the process? Because you mentioned there's going to be a committee involved. Could it be challenging for someone to say we're showing partiality in the committee? So just to kind of keep it above par, just wondering if there's a process you have kind of dialed in for that.
We do have our HR teammates as non-voting members of the committee so that they can bring that unbiased view to the situation. And it will be under confidentiality that the HR team will be involved with the team member in understanding the nature of the illness or situation.
Follow up, Councilman?
Yes, follow-up. Yeah, and I just want to say I appreciate what you're working to try to work together as a city on that. I just, was making sure we kind of have our checks and balances so there's no hard feelings on those decisions, so. Good, thanks.
Any other discussion? I would just like to say thank you to the union representatives for working with the city on this. We had one particular case that brought this to our attention, but after that was brought to our attention, we realized that this could be a good thing for a lot of the team members working for the city of Watertown, and it could benefit a lot of people in the future. But with that said, it did take some time to get our head around exactly how to go about it. Along with City Attorney Carrico and City Manager Stager, I would also like to point out HR Director Nichols was also instrumental in making this happen. So thank you to everyone involved for making this happen. With that, for all of those who want to approve the amendment and authorize the administration of the policy, you will vote aye, oppose nay.
Okay.
Finance Officer Bubsy?
Holden,
Aye.
Mormon. Aye. Jurens.
Aye.
Peters.
Aye.
Shetty.
Aye.
Allen. Hoyer.
Aye.
All in favor.
Motion is unanimous in favor. Motion passes. Item 11A is a 2026 budget appropriation. There will be two items for action, but we will handle the discussion at the same time. Item 1 will be an ordinance for the 2026 city budget appropriation, and number 2 will be the 2026 enterprise funds budget. So those will be two separate motions when the time comes. Just the first one tonight?
Just the first reading.
Okay, and it is just, yeah, sorry. That was not noted, so. Okay, so we are just having the discussion tonight. We'll pass it at the next meeting in November. So with that said, City Manager Stager.
Great, thank you, Mayor. Just a reminder for the council, I want to walk through the process we've been up to this point, and then also we'll go into a little bit of discussion for the benefit of the public who may not have the patience to sit through the hours of work sessions that each one of you have been through. And so as a reminder, starting back in September, we had our first work session where we reviewed the sources of revenue, we reviewed the long-term capital improvement plan in detail, as well as council priorities and the city debt level. That was our first step in the process. And then mid-October, we came back together with what I will call a more detailed review of the operational budgets of the city. And this is where we got into the detail, looking at the governmental funds and the enterprise funds. You each had an opportunity to ask some questions. And the result of that is a budget ordinance for you to consider this evening on first reading and final passage at our next meeting. And it's the budget ordinance that memorializes our intent for 2026 in ordinance. In terms of the process, I mentioned what we've done in terms of council review, but going back to early August is when the staff really started to work on the detail of the budget. And they did an outstanding job. Coming in as a new city manager with this staff, in many cases, the staff was actually new to the process. They hadn't been as involved in the past. We had some great discussions and really had the ability to dive into the detail, including, I'll just give some special recognition to the Park and Rec Department, where they have implemented a cost recovery model to drive the decisions in the budget as just one example of how we're utilizing the skills of our team to drive better fiscal accountability as we develop this process. In terms of a budget philosophy, I view a budget as a plan at a point in time. And it's okay with me if next year we need to bring forward to you a budget supplement as situations change. I don't believe anybody should view a budget, although it's memorialized in ordinance, as the green light to go ahead and spend at that level. Because as we know, our economy is cyclical. Things change, both the positive side and the negative side. And so for this to become an ongoing discussion in 2026, I think is a strong position for the city to be in. You each at your desk have a summary of the budget for 2026. This is the same summary that we've shared with you in the past. I do want to talk about just a couple of minor changes that have happened since we were last together. All of these are pretty minor. The first one is, as we went through the final review, there was a realization that a supplement for the E911 fund of $100,000 was missing. So we've added that to the budget. Also realized since that time that the drone that we have at the Watertown Police Department was in an accident and we no longer have one. It's a pretty critical tool. So rather than asking for a future supplement, we put it in the budget for $20,000. We also spent time reviewing the external organizations, and although we're not proposing any type of change in the overall funding, I do want to revert back to the method of funding the organizations that we've had in the past, which is a direct funding. I do believe that a third-party model working with agencies in the community is the right long-term approach. However, to do that effectively, we just don't have time to do it this year. And so this allows us to at least take care of the various nonprofit organizations in the community who have relied on us for funding, again, for 2026. There are other minor adjustments, some up, some down, that netted to about $15,000. And the final item that I added to the capital expenditures is an undetermined vehicle at this point in time. I had initially, until we understand our fleet needs, put a moratorium on any new vehicles, and I'd like to stick with that. But I also recognize that may not be realistic, that we may need to add a vehicle in one of the departments during the year. So there's a placeholder out there so that we can do that as we continue to rationalize the vehicle fleet that we've got. I'll stand by for any questions on the budget.
Thank you, City Manager. Council, any discussion? Councilman Peters.
Yeah, I got a question on the city manager's favorite topic, which is TIFs. If you look at the debt service there, it says that we have a $1,600 debt service payment on number 10. Well, we could just go down the list. Can you just help me better understand which one those are associated with and how those amounts are justified?
I can. Part of this is off of memory, so I prefer to give you more details. What I will tell you is the majority of the TIFs that we have are pay-as-you-go type of TIFs in the community where the city merely acts as a conduit. We do on TIF number 5, which I believe is Willow Creek. On TIF number 5, which is Willow Creek, we do have city funding on that one, and so we do make debt service payments on it. And there is one other TIF that we have a debt position on as well that we collect the tax dollars and make payments on. And our CFO will have to help me with which one. Yeah.
Okay, so TIF 10 is the lofts. That was also an interfund loan. So that's the 1,600 that you're seeing. As soon as that one kind of starts to pay back, that is an interfund loan. And then 11 is actually kind of like a cosign of the loan for TIF 11 was Marketplace. So that is us then paying that debt to American Bank and Trust.
Follow.
Thank you, that's helpful. You're probably off memory for these, but are these classified as housing TIFs primarily or economic development TIFs when they're written?
I believe most are economic development, except for a couple of the new ones are housing.
Okay.
At least when some of the initial TIFs were put in place, I don't know that housing was an option at that point.
Okay, thank you. That's all for now.
Any other discussion, council? We'll move on to item 11B, which is the first reading amending the zoning map of the city for a portion of property to be known as Innovative Adjusters Addition from R2A, Single Family Attached Residential, to C3 Highway Commercial District. Community Development Manager Hanton, please take this one.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is the first reading for a rezone. This was recommended unanimously by the Planning Commission. This will be a rezone here for the property. I'll pull up at 812 West Kemp, and then the adjacent residential property. You can see that's 820 West Kemp. And so the C3 Highway Commercial District, and then the R2A Single Family Attached Residential District are the two zones that we're looking at here. And then I'll pull up this different map that will show the portion of the R2A lot, just a small portion that will be rezoned to C3 Highway Commercial. And those two properties are owned by are under the same ownership. And the purpose is for additional storage for the C3 lot and also to have the house, the existing residence, remain zoned appropriately so that can exist and be conforming. And that lot, that R2A lot, with this portion of the C3 taken out of it, will also still be conforming for that zoning district. Just one other note is that this will be administratively replatted, so that will not come before the boards to just separate the properties with the proper zoning then, if the rezone is approved. And then there will be a utility easement running in this location here that I'm showing with my mouse. So that that will encompass the gas that exists there. So with that, I'll stand by for any questions.
This is first reading, so we're encouraging discussion before we vote on it at the next meeting. Is there any discussion, council? Councilman Allen? No?
Mayor?
Councilman Hoyer?
Brandy, I'm just kind of wondering with it, two things. One, is there any separation between the R2A and that proposed separation there? Is there like fencing or any kind of like foliage or anything like that?
So the purpose will be for storage of business materials for the C3 use of the existing property. And so then there is a fencing requirement.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure between the R2A and the abutting portion in their backyard essentially that hopefully there'd be a little separation.
Yep.
And then just, does it go along with our comprehensive land use plan as it stands?
Yeah, as it stands, this area obviously is not adjacent to a highway, but it's the only zoning district that we have to work with at this time. Or I guess what it has been zoned as. This probably would be somewhat applicable for the C2 local commercial district, but just with the nature of this area and how it has been long time existing and standing, it is conforming with what we have.
Understood. I just thought it was kind of an interesting shape we had going on with our R2A abutting in between two C3s like that, but I'm familiar with the area as well, so.
Yeah, it's just a matter of as things redevelop, if we see this turn into more of a commercial corridor, which is what the comprehensive land use plan would show.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, council? Thank you. Move on to item 11C as another first reading of an ordinance amending Title 13, particularly Chapter 13.02, regulation of the sale, purchase, and possession of hemp-derived products. City Manager Steger.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a new ordinance that we are bringing forward. As you will recall, we've had discussions both through the restaurant liquor license ordinance change as well as at the prior council meeting about trying to close some of the loopholes or missing components of statewide regulation over hemp-derived THC products. This ordinance, I believe, accurately reflects what we discussed at the last council meeting. It essentially defines the products that we are talking about and provides a prohibition from the sale to or possession by an individual under 21 years of age, as well as establishing penalties for both a person under 21 who may consume the product or possess the product, as well as penalties for any licensed alcohol establishment seller that might sell the products to someone under 21. I believe this accurately reflects the intent of the council from our prior discussions. I'll be happy to stand by and take any questions.
Thank you. Again, this is a first reading, so we encourage questions. Do we have any? Is there anyone out in the audience who would like to testify on this item or ask a question? Anyone in the public? Now, we've been through this quite a bit, vetting this topic at previous meetings. So I would like to thank city attorney, city manager, and everyone else involved in writing what I think is a concise ordinance that deals with what we wanted to deal with and avoids pitfalls that might happen with too much verbiage. All right. Last call for questions. Okay, we'll move on to, I'm going to ask council for some leeway here that I think you'll be happy to hear. Items 12A through 12G are all renewals of licenses that happened because of violations to underage sales. But in every instance listed on A through G, these people, the owners, proprietors, have already come and testified in front of council and told us what they were doing to correct the matter. So I am just going to ask for council's indulgence, and we will hear, basically, we will have City Manager Bob Zine say what she has to, or City Finance Officer Bob Zine, sorry, say what she needs to about this, and I'm going to take the vote all at once, knowing that Councilman Hoyer abstains. So in the notes, you will note that it is going to be, well, most likely, I don't want to assume the vote, but it will likely be 7-0 on all of them, except for item E, which would be 6-0, because Councilman Hoyer is not counting. Councilman Hoyer?
I'll just go ahead and recuse from all of them.
Okay, we can do that too. Okay. Finance Officer Bob Zine.
Okay. So yes, as stated, these licenses have all been before the council previously for their malt beverage renewal. So all fees have been paid, notice has been published, everything's in order. In terms of that, if there's any questions, I can answer them.
And just to note for the public who might be wondering, when these letters go out, because if you have a liquor license and a malt beverage license, malt beverage wine, you get multiple notices to say that you have to come and testify. So again, these people have already testified, and they have testified as to what they have done, the corrective measures that they have taken. And in the letter, we say that you can come, you don't have to because you already have, essentially. With that said, I will open a public hearing on any of these. Is there anyone who would like to testify on any item 12A through 12G? Council, can I get a motion to approve items 12A through 12G? Motion made by Councilman Allen, seconded by Councilman Peters. Any questions, comments?
Mayor?
Finance
Would you
Officer?
mind just for the public to just maybe say who the 12A, you don't have to read all the
Okay.
legal, but I think just for,
Item A is Shamrocks and Edelweiss, better known as Dempsey's. Item B is Docks. Item C is the prop. Item D is the prop. Item E is Watertown Brewing Company. Item F is Johnny Ringo's. Item G is Cowboy Stores. Okay? All those in favor of approving the renewal of the licenses for A through G, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Item 12H is a renewal of a license for Four Amigos Cowboy Country Stores. And this one is being taken up because this is Finance Officer Bob Zine will explain it.
thank you, Mayor. Yes, in front of the council is the renewal. This one was also a sale to a minor. This one is the first violation for this cycle of licenses. Again, though, all fees have been paid, notice has been published, everything's in order.
Thank you. I'm also going to call upon Chief of Police Toomey to just comment a little bit about what you have been doing with the police force on all of these violations and how our procedures of working with the proprietors have been bolstered.
Thank you, Mayor. Council, the police department works directly with the businesses, especially Cowboy One, or the Cowboy Stores, Spice Corporation. We haven't came across any specific business that is intentionally ignoring the law or breaking the law. These are employees, they make mistakes, but we met with Spice Corporation, with the police department. We developed some plans with them on how to educate their employees, their new employees through employee orientation, drafting a letter with specific instructions and what to look for. We're wide open to any of these businesses that want to do better and looking for ways to do better. We're definitely willing to work with them. And our goal is 100% compliance. We hate to see anybody fail, so that's our goal.
All right. Thank you. I'll open a public hearing and just note that the Spice Corporation was contacted. They came back and said that they would like to be here. If there was any issue, they would gladly just postpone this, but they could not make it tonight. But we have had them in front of us before, and as the chief said, they have worked particularly close with the Spice Corporation.
Yeah, and Kelly Rumsford from HSA Prevention's here too. She has a ton of tools as well for any of the businesses that want to get them.
All right. Thank you. I will open a public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to testify on this item? I'll close the public hearing, open it up for council action. Can I get a motion to renew this license? Motion made by Councilman Shudy, seconded by Councilman Peters. Any discussion, council? Councilman Shudy?
I just want to share, thank you for, those organizations in town, the police force, even these facilities here. Because, the previous council was at that meeting when we went through this, and it was just good to see that, as much as it can be looked as a shaming, but I didn't feel that way that night because there was a lot of good input and people were sharing what they're doing to make changes, and now we're putting some of those things into action as, again, together with the city and establishments and other organizations. So just working together. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Mayor,
Councilman
I'm going
Hoyer?
to recuse through
Yep.
J, just so
Yep.
it's clear. Okay.
Oh, okay. Okay, so, yeah. All right. All those in favor of renewing the license? I think I'll be okay with the voice vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Item 12I is renewal of a retail liquor license for Willie's. Anything different?
Nope, nothing to add.
Open a public hearing. Is there anyone who has testified? I'll close the public hearing. Can I get a motion to renew the license? Councilman Allen, seconded by Councilman Peters. Comments, questions? All those in favor of renewing the license, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Item 12J is a renewal of a license for Dakota Butcher. Nothing new. Public hearing, anyone like to testify? I'll close the public hearing. Council action, can I get a motion? Motion made by Councilman Peters, seconded by Councilman Jurens. Any discussion? The motion is to renew. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay.
Oh, go ahead and vote.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries.
I do have one item. I just want to inform the council and for the public, the violation in all cases on these was selling to someone under 21. I know we don't specify that, but the record is it's a sale to someone under 21.
Thank you. All right, item 12K is an annexation and zoning of Burger Third Edition. We have two separate motions under here, but we will handle the discussion and the questions at one time. Item 1 will be an approval of the annexation. Item 2 will be establishing the zoning designation. Community Development Manager Hannon.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is the second reading of the annexation and zoning of the Burger property, which is located south of Highway 212 and west of 41st Street Southeast. This will be annexed and zoned as C3 Highway Commercial District. It encompasses 26.8 acres. There is an existing residence on this property that will be removed prior to additional building permits being issued within the city. And they, the applicant and owner has been made aware of the outstanding fee collection that is within the Sioux Rural Water territory, and they will work with Watertown Municipal Utilities with taking care of that payment. And then they also are within the Cottington Clark Electric and Northwestern Energy territories. So again, WMU will work with the owners on that as far as whatever the buyout process is for WMU taking over their territories. We did discuss at the Planning Commission or contemplated if we should extend the rezone to include all of the right-of-way of 41st Street, which is on the east side of this property, or that it abuts that property. And in working and talking with the county, at this time, it doesn't make sense because obviously they're maintaining all the way to the south on 41st. And then there's also adjacent property owners who abut 41st who are not a part of the annexation and zoning at this time. So they, we just did the center line of the right-of-way as we typically do. So with that, I'll stand by for any questions.
Thank you. I'll open a public hearing. I know that there is at least one gentleman here who would like to make a couple comments. So please come forward. Just identify yourself, please.
My name is Don Polfrey. I'm not opposed to burgers wanting to rezone by no means. I'm not opposed of the city inviting the new owners in. The only concern that I have is when Titan's built there, we've had a lot of what I want to call light trespassing into my houses. I own 2 properties there. So if it could be noted that if there could be a noise trespassing or looms trespassing, if they plant a living block like a shelter belt to eliminate the noise and suppress the noise and the lights. That's the only thing I'd ask.
Thank you. Could you repeat your name for me?
Don Polfrey.
Polfrey, thank you. Mr. Polfrey, which properties?
The
do-
2 of 1114 and 1122.
Manager Hatton, could you point those out for us?
Yep.
Go to the left,
There we
right
go.
there. Those 2 on the top. And like I say, I don't
Okay.
want to be a thorn, for progress by no means, but I just, future, if we decide to sell, it might not be enticing if they see, and I'm a farm kid, big machinery don't bother me, but somebody that might want to buy it might not want to look at it or listen to it. Now, is there going to be a lot of noise? I don't know. I doubt it, but I just want some reassurance.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Polfrey. You can stand by for just a moment, but I make it my policy to take all public testimony first, but I think that you might be the only one on this one.
Okay.
But let me just take, is there anyone else who would like to address the council on this issue? Okay, I'll close public hearing. Can I get council action on item 12K1, which is essentially the annexation? Motion made by Councilman Allen, seconded by Councilman Hoyer. Okay, Community Development Manager Hanton, would you like to address the questions that arose during public testimony?
Yes. So as far as all of those concerns that you had brought up, we do have standards and ordinance, and those items would be reviewed at the time of building permit issuance. Most likely, depending on the type of use that comes in, if it would require a conditional use in the C3 district, then that would come forward to the Board of Adjustment, where then you would be notified again, and it would be another hearing. Otherwise, if it is a permitted use in the district, then all of those items are handled within the ordinance. So, shoebox lighting, and then noise would be like by complaint basis. But all of those things, we have the capacity to review and make sure that it is not, that there's not the light pollution that you speak of, and protecting the adjacent properties.
Thank you. Thanks.
Sounds good?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Council, any questions, comments? The motion is to annex that tract of land. All those in favor will please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Can I get a motion on 12K2, which is the zoning designation? Motion made by Councilman Schutte, seconded by Councilman Moorman. Any questions, comments? The motion is to establish the zoning designation there. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Item 12L? Okay. I have to go through the alphabet. Well, because it looks like an I, I'm sorry. Second reading of an ordinance zoning text amendments to Chapter 2110 of the revised ordinances of the City of Watertown regarding residential height and placement regulations and residential height and placement regulations for accessory structures. Manager Hanton.
Thank you, Mayor. So again, as stated, this is the second reading for this ordinance amendment. And the main points that this is amending within the zoning ordinance involves the maximum size for an accessory structure. Previously, it stated, you can have, in essence, a detached garage, and that square footage is based on your lot size. And then you can have again, in essence, a garden shed that was allowed to be up to 200 square feet. And what we've seen from previous requests and variants coming forward to the Board of Adjustment is that we see a lot of requests in between that 200 to 240. And the mentality then that the board and staff have is to allow the 240 to 240 square feet increase from the 200 square feet, because we would rather see people be able to store their items inside a structure. And then also just the fact that things are ever increasing in size and the options are endless. So just allowing greater space for storage, really. So that's kind of that's the first main point of this amendment. And then we amended the setback requirements for accessory structures or detached garages typically when they're adjacent to an alley, so that if the garage door is entered parallel from the alley, that the setback could be 4 feet from the property line. Today, it's required to be 9 feet. And then if it's entering perpendicular to the alley, we're proposing to amend that to be a 9-foot setback versus 20 feet that it is today. Reasoning behind that is a lot of the times alleys exist in like the R2A, single-family attached residential district that's closed because a lot of the lots were developed. These are some of the older neighborhoods where you have smaller lot sizes, and so to allow people to utilize, and the purpose of alleys is for vehicle traffic, and then pedestrians are in the front yards on the sidewalks. The reason why the 20 feet was most likely included before is because when you have a driveway in the front yard and you have a sidewalk, you want to reduce any conflicts there that a vehicle would be encroaching over the sidewalk. Well, alleys, you don't have sidewalks, so that's where staff finds it appropriate to allow greater utilization for what alleys' purposes are. So with that, I'll stand by for any questions.
I will open a public hearing. Is there anyone who would like to testify on this item? I'll close the public hearing. Council, can I get a motion to approve the amendments? Motion made by Councilman Hoyer. Seconded by Councilman Mormon. Council, any questions, comments? Councilman Jurgens?
Brandy, thanks for bringing this. This is good improvements. Where was this 10 years ago when I needed it? But I did learn something new, how to use a good fence post to push a shed over a few feet on some posts, on some round posts. So thanks for the lesson. I appreciate that. You know, a farm girl like you would maybe know what I'm talking about.
Any other comments or questions, council? I feel okay going with a voice vote. The motion is to approve the amendments. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Quick explanation, council. Item 12M was pulled at my request. I had some questions to Manager Hanton regarding it that I think can be ironed out very easily, but probably ironed out easier outside of a public hearing. So we'll likely have this back for a first reading, but thank you. And item 13A is an approval of a resolution to charge a transaction processing fee for payment of city goods and services using credit cards, charge cards, debit cards, and e-checks. And I will give Finance Officer Bob Zine a little bit of leeway, so if you want to deal with item 13B at the same time, because they're relatively, they're very close.
Yep, okay.
So,
Thank you, Mayor.
Finance Officer Bob Zine.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Yes, in front of the council is a resolution that essentially allows for the city to charge back any credit card processing, debit card processing fees back to the customer. We've recently seen quite a spike in those credit card processing fees, and they're they're obviously being paid by us, and we only think it's appropriate that those are put back onto the customer. As far as kind of where it ties into the next item, part of that discussion happened when we were reviewing the credit card processing fees that are being paid by our Park and Recreation Department for our current software. So essentially, the next item is to change our credit card processing fees from the company we're currently using to a new credit card processor. So if there's any questions, I can answer them.
I don't think there's anyone here. Anyone like to testify on this? Okay. Council, can I get a motion to approve the resolution? Motion made by Councilman Jurens, seconded by Councilman Peters. Any questions or comments, Council? Councilman Allen.
Kristen, can you tell me where the money goes? So when we collect it in the budget, does it go into does it go back to Park and Rec? Or does it go into the general fund, or where does it go?
So essentially, some credit card processors do it different. Some will just take it and we won't even see it. They'll just take it directly from the customer and it'll be theirs. If they are one that charges us but also collects it, it's basically in and out. So whatever department sees the fees and collects them and has to pay them, they'll see the in and the out.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Councilman Jurens.
Is this the first step in replacing the point of sale at the Prairie Lakes / Sanford Ice Arena? Or speed up the lines?
I don't know if we can, I don't think this is going to help with that, but I think, yeah, the credit card processing in terms of, that's just the point
Oh,
of sale.
this isn't for concession stands?
Well, the processor will, but I don't know about speeding up the actual transactions. It's just the fees. Yep.
Follow up.
Follow up?
Yeah. So did I misunderstand? Is this the first step in a process of maybe changing vendors?
So what the vendor that's changing, so it's not going to be the actual point of sale vendor, it's just the point of the processing of the credit card fees. So they're tied together.
Councilman Hoyer, did you have anything?
I'll save it for future discussion. part of the
Okay.
conversation, right?
Any other questions or comments, council? Councilman Mormon?
Just curious for public's information, what kind of, if the city was absorbing those fees, what kind of money are we looking at that we essentially would be losing if that isn't being passed on to the customer?
So January through October, between all of our funds, we have paid over $200,000 in credit card fees.
Wow. Thank you.
I will echo, wow. Finance Officer Bob Zine, question for you. This would be in 13B, but you established the flat fee of 3%. Is 3% adequate to get back the credit card fees? And would that also be an appropriate flat fee to impose upon debit card fees? Because I understand, or I believe that sometimes there might be a different fee percentage.
So the 3% is what Card Connect will be charging to process the credit cards. So that will, now that we're passing this resolution, the 3% is what the customer will be charged, and that's what will be collected and paid back. Currently on our current credit card processor, we were seeing between 13 and 18% charged. So like I said, not only are we taking action to put those processing fees back to the customer, but we're also now getting a new processor that even the customers won't be seeing as high of rates.
So essentially, we're going to be saving money from what we have been
Correct.
spending.
Yep.
Before Councilman Hoyer, just a moment. Question for you, follow up on that. So item 13B just says credit card processing. It does not say debit card or e-checks.
Essentially, any transaction that is processed for automatic payment will be part of the 3%, whether it's debit card or credit card. So,
Okay. Is that appropriate if a debit card does not charge a percentage?
I think most processors now do charge for
Okay.
a debit and a credit, yep.
So it's a matter of the processor. Okay,
Yep.
Councilman Hoyer?
I was just gonna toss out that when I saw this, and the 3% to me too, being in a business that does do a lot of card transactions, it's actually pretty close to the average of what it is nowadays. Most commonly what you'd see from like Square through like PayPal and everything else, it's about, in person is 2.7 plus like 10, don't quote me, but like 10 cents. And then if you do it over the internet, it's like 2.99 plus 30 cents. So it's about where it would be if you balance it all out. And also just the type of transaction is different, but yeah. I thought, I was a little concerned at first too, but after looking at quite a few processing fees, it seemed like it's about where it would be. I would always entertain every year looking at if there's other options, but I think that's just where we're at right now. And even I have to go buy a checkbook, so I guess I'll be doing that.
Council, any further questions? Or Councilman Jurgens?
Can I tie this all together then? What are the main transactions that you're speaking of? All transactions? I mean, there's a lot of transactions with the Park and Rec that are small, they're quick, they're easy, or is this someone coming in or paying licenses online?
So essentially, anytime anyone is using a credit card, we have to pay for that credit card to be processed. So this is essentially what that is. So the resolution is for all of the city. So it'll be at the landfill, at the finance office. A lot of the Park and Rec is our Civic Plus. So that is for the ice arena, the zoo, anytime you online register for any activities, pretty much any transaction that you use a credit card for.
Follow-up?
So that might have sounded like a little sarcasm and a little joke when I led this off with the ice rink, but there is continuing to be in the public. I watch their reactions because I intentionally go buy popcorn at the ice rink just to see how the flow is going. And there continues to be delays out there. Are we working, I know this might be sideline, but a lot of people in the public are using that point of sale out there.
So we can look into it. I think if that might be more of a situation where we may need to get more point of sale stations to help speed up the transactions. I don't think it's actually on the processing of the credit card. We did begin a process. It used to be where you had to sign, like you used to have to sign. We did take that away if the transaction was under a certain dollar amount. So I think that helped speed it up from where it was when we first opened. But I think that's definitely an area that we can look at.
Councilman Hoyer?
So I'll just touch on it now because we might as well do it since it's already been opened up. But, as somebody who's used the Park and Rec POS before, like when we first went out to the ice arena, I will say it stands up to that acronym. It is a POS. They're not great. They're very slow. I would argue that it feels like 1995 Windows. So like the city really, we should maybe explore if there are other options, but from what I've heard, Park and Rec does have, it's good on a management side. It's just maybe like for the processing speed and execution, it's pretty clunky.
Pretty slow.
And it's not the most intuitive thing in the world. So that's, I think, where Councilman Jurgens' concerns come up. And I understand it too, but like with us, we go out there, throw up Square, we can process your card in like a second.
Okay.
Versus like that one, it's not the signature that's the problem.
Okay.
But it works great for signing up for programs though, but it's just the actual front of house execution, it's a little tough. So worth exploring maybe.
Any other questions or comments? Councilman Schutte?
So Councilman Jurgens, would it be fun if I got in line and wrote a check? Would that be, just to shake it up a little bit?
That's a good one. I like that.
Councilman Jurgens, you do not have to answer that question. But I would echo Councilman Hoyer's comments because it does raise a good point because in some cases, at least out at the ice arena, you can't even use cash. You have to use a credit card, and it can cause issues. And if we can speed up the line, then we make more money and make happier people. So, Councilman Jurens.
Councilman Shoddy, do I need to invite you to a game so you can, so you know there's no cash drawers out there?
All right. Council, any last questions or comments? The motion is to approve the resolution. All those in favor will say aye, opposed nay. Finance Officer Bob Zine, please call the roll.
Okay. Helene,
Aye.
Mormon,
Aye.
Jurens,
Aye.
Peters, Shuddy,
Aye.
Allen, Hoyer,
Aye.
all in favor.
Motion carries unanimously. Item 13B is an authorization for the city manager to sign a 3-year merchant services agreement with Card Connect LLC for credit card processing services. Finance Officer Bob Zine, anything to add?
Nothing to add on that one.
Council, can I get a motion to approve the agreement? Motion made by Councilman Allen, seconded by Councilman Mormon. Council, any questions on this one? The motion is to approve the agreement. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Item 13C is an approval of a resolution amending the rate schedule for users of wastewater system for the city of Watertown and setting an effective date of February 1st, 2026. City Manager Steger.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an adjustment of the wastewater rate, increasing the rate about $4.96 per month on the typical residential user. About $4 of this rate is actually related to the debt service requirement on the loans that we've taken out to complete the $60 million project at the wastewater facility. The other, approximately $1, is based upon our periodic rate study to look at the operating costs and what will be required to have a sustainable enterprise fund with a healthy balance at the wastewater facility. We recommend approval of this rate change.
Thank you, City Manager. Can I get a motion to approve this resolution? Motion made by Councilman Peters, seconded by Councilman Shetty. I will open it up for questions, comments, but first, City Manager Steger, I would like, it was obviously a huge project for the city of Watertown. In fact, I think it is the largest project that we have ever undertaken, but because, I think in part because it deals with wastewater, it hasn't garnered a lot of attention. But perhaps just a very brief explanation as to why this is an important $60 million project that we had approved quite some time ago.
Great. I'll make just a couple of comments. This results in approximately 35 to 40% increase in the capacity of the plant, as well as resulting in some significant improvements in the control systems of the plant and the treatment systems themselves. I believe the last major investment in the plant was in 1997, so we have some of the legacy plant assets that are really reaching the end of life. So from an economic development standpoint, this is a pretty critical project to ensure that we can support the city as we continue to grow. This should take us well beyond 2035 and well beyond 30,000 residents in the community.
Thank you. Councilman Peters.
A quick question for you, Alan. On the $4, I get the debt service. On the extra 94 cent, what could we estimate for increase in revenue based on that small part that's not going to debt service?
Whatever 22,000 times 12 is,
Okay,
roughly.
annually?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any further questions, council? City Manager, I'm surprised you didn't do that math off the top of your head.
It's getting late, and I thought someone would check me.
I've seen you do it before. Any further questions, council? The motion is to approve the resolution. All those in favor will say aye, opposed nay. Finance Officer Bob Zine.
Okay. Helene,
Aye.
Mormon,
Aye.
Jurens,
Aye.
Peters, Shuddy,
Aye.
Allen, Hoyer,
Aye.
Motion is unanimous in favor. Motion carries. Item 13E is an approval of a resolution of support of an application for financial assistance to the South Dakota Housing and Development Authority by Dakota Commons Reserve LLC and/or its affiliates, agents, or assigns for the benefit of multifamily development. City Manager Steger.
Thank you, Mayor, and if it's okay with the council, I will comment on both E and F at the same time.
Thank you.
Both of these resolutions are resolutions of support of two developers who have multi-unit housing projects contemplated in the city. What these resolutions do is just to provide your support, indicating that you support the projects, that we have a need for housing in the community, and that these projects will fill that need. The developers intend to apply for incentives through the state of South Dakota. You may have heard of some housing funds recently been made available of about 60 million. And so this is really in support of those developers as they look to some grant funding through the state of South Dakota on these two projects. There is no commitment from the city associated with these at all. This is purely a resolution of support.
Thank you. Council, I will allow questions and comments regarding both E and F, but first, can I get a motion to approve Resolution 13E? Motion made by Councilman Allen, seconded by Councilman Shudy. Questions or comments? The motion is to approve the resolution. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Item 13F, can I get a motion to approve that resolution? Motion made by Hoyer, seconded by Peters. Questions or comments? Motion is to approve the resolution. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Item 13G is an approval of a memorandum of understanding between the City of Watertown and Cottington County for agreement on road maintenance. City Engineer Peterson.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. This is a shared road agreement with the county. We brought several of these previously for the townships. We got one more coming at some point. But this is for the county. It shows which roads that the city maintains and which ones that the county maintains. There is, I guess, I'd like to point out just one little stretch here. This is a little over a mile of South Lake Drive with the development and bike trail that is planned to be completed next year. This area, stretch of road is, according to the MAU, would be the city's area to maintain. So then the city would have all of South Lake Drive and North Lake Drive all around the lake to maintain. I guess with that, I'll stand by for some questions.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve the MOU? Motion made by Councilman Hoyer, seconded by Councilman Peters. Let's open it up for conversation. Councilman Allen.
Justin, so it's currently the county that does South Lake Drive there, through there? That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Could we just stick them with it still? Sorry, that was for Troy and he left, so.
Councilman Jurgens? All right. I will call a roll call vote on this one. Finance Officer Bob Zine, please find out if we're in favor of it. Vote aye. Opposed, nay.
Okay. Helene?
Aye.
Mormon?
Aye.
Jurgens?
Aye.
Peters?
Aye.
Shudy?
Aye.
Allen? Hoyer?
Aye.
Motion is unanimous in favor. Motion carries. Item 13H is an authorization for the CFO to transfer cash balance from the Ice Arena Project Fund 506 to the Street Facility Project Fund 505. Finance Officer Bob Zine.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Yes, I'm kind of asking for a little bit of accounting, housekeeping, and then the transfer of cash. So Fund 506 was established to facilitate the ice arena, the bonds, and then the project. That project has now come to a conclusion, and there is a leftover cash balance in there. of $1,176,743.55. So this would allow me to essentially transfer that to Fund 505, which is going to house the street facility project. So if there's any questions, I can answer them. Thank you.
Thank you. Council, can I get a motion to authorize the transfer? Motion made by Councilman Shetty. Can I get a second? Sure. Seconded by Councilman Jurens. So open it up for questions or comments, but first, Finance Officer Bob Zine, can you please explain how there's roughly over $1 million left over to transfer?
So a little bit of it is during the process of the ice arena, not only did we transfer dollars from Fund 212, but that cash has made some interest in time, essentially. So that's what it is. It's a little bit of the interest earnings and then some extra transfers that we did throughout the process.
Thank you. So good money management from you and the team. All right, thank you. Any deliberation, council? All right. I feel okay with just a voice vote on that. All those in favor of authorizing the transfer, please vote aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. We're on to city council member announcements and introduction of topics for future discussion. I have one. I would like to alert the council that I believe we are going to move our next meeting in November to November 19th. And the reason being is we have both myself and Councilman Peters gone for the 17th. And Councilman Mormon is also likely to be gone, so it would be a skeleton crew, barely over a quorum established. So with that said, we are moving it to the 19th is the plan for right now. Councilman Hoyer?
I would have to miss it then.
Okay.
Maybe we can find another date.
We can be open to that. We had discussed moving it back 1 week, but we weren't sure about that. But let's just say, as of right now, we know that the next council meeting is going to be moved possibly to the 19th. Any further announcements, council? Councilman Jurens?
We haven't handled anything real controversial for a while.
And do you want to bring something up?
Street facility,
Okay.
I believe, really is the elephant in the room. And it's been a high priority. And there's been discussion for years, but a lot more discussion in the last year or two. And I think, to let the public know that there is work being done, and there needs to be a lot of work done, but I drove by our current street facility and I look at the winter ahead and I'm going, when will we tackle this and get everybody on board as to what their priority is? But the reason I bring it up is that there's other projects out there that we all know of, and that there's those in the community that keep asking about. Yet I'd like to start understanding if the street facility can be done for under 27 million, which we know now it can be, but what is that number? And we know that if we spend 12, 13, 14 million, there's not a lot left on the table. But talking with contractors, talking with those that are building, they don't have a lot of work lined up for the next year. And I know government operates slow, but the timing's good. The timing's good right now. And that's according to large contractors, maybe not all of them, but sampled a couple of them. And there are some ideas floating out there that if this could get done for a different number than what we've discussed in the past, there's some other projects that would be good to start tackling also. So that's all I had.
Thank you, Councilman Jurgens. Councilman Allen.
I just want to say thank you to the United Way, Laura Heathcote, and I'm sorry, I forgot his name, from the Salvation Army.
Captain Dennis Jolly.
Dennis Jolly, and acknowledge that I'm hearing the same thing, that the community we have a huge need. And with the government shutdown and the cut to SNAP benefits, who knows where that's going to land exactly, but we're already seeing a tremendous demand. And I know others have recognized it, and there are others in the community, I think Taco John's, I think some other places that are stepping up and willing to provide meals and other help to people that need it. And I think I just want to thank them for doing what they're doing to try and address the need, and encourage everybody, if they can give even a little bit, it's really needed right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. I would like to echo that. The need is great, but the response has been amazing in this community. Watertown is an incredibly giving community. I like the line from Sister Barb out at the Harmony Hill where she says, "We are a community that solves its own problems." I take a lot of pride in that as just one member of that community. So the response has been amazing already. I don't want to even try to list all the private establishments that have stepped forward and offered great benefit or great free food or free meals to people, because there's been so many already. I would like to just echo what was said at public forum, which is if you want more information on where to go, the Cuttington Connects website. And if you have donations, you can direct them to the Salvation Army. And then from there, the Salvation Army will help disperse them where it is needed. Councilman Hoyer.
I'll just toss out, because somebody did compile quite a few of the restaurants, so just really quick for those that might need that service or want it. Dempsey's is doing basically a free 12-inch pizza, cheese or pepperoni, no questions asked. You just go ahead and tell them, ask for the Danger Special. They ask no questions, and they'll take care of you there. That starts November 1st, so it's already active. Taco John's mentioned the community special at the counter, get the meal at no cost. Labby's Sports Bar and Grill, they have a receipt wall. Basically, the way that works, you show up, you can buy a meal, they'll match it with a meal of their own, and then if somebody needs a meal, they just go up, take a receipt, they can utilize that. Otherwise, Millennium Financial Services doing a food drive. We're doing a food drive at the brewery as well. The food pantry, Salvation Army, Seventh-day Adventist Church, Cornerstone, most of the churches seem to be doing that. Free community meals, Access Ministries. They do lunch Monday through Friday at 11:30. Oh, not right now, I'm so sorry. Darn. Well, that's good to know, though. Now we know that, because it's listed in a few places online, so great. Salvation Army, hot meals Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 11:30 to 12:30. Grace Lutheran also does them on Monday. All welcome. But just keep your eyes peeled out there, because there's a lot of folks looking to lend a hand where it's needed. And so, yeah.
Any other announcements? Councilman Mormon?
Just Hosanna Lutheran Church in Ward A that I represent is currently trying to get a roof put back on their church after the fire that they experienced. And if you're listening in tonight, just say a prayer that we continue to have this beautiful weather, so that way they can get a lot of work done without having to fight the weather.
Any other announcements? City manager report.
A couple of items briefly. Councilman Jurgens, thanks for your comments on the street facility. We're actually planning on convening a group next week, including Councilman Mormon and Councilman Shetty, who agreed to be on that particular council improvement project. And I do think we can do it for $10.6 million. That's the amount of cash we have put away for the project. Secondly, I'd like to get another small group together to do a deep dive into the tax increment financing districts that we have in the city. As you will see in the next legislative session, TIFs will be under quite a bit of discussion, and educating you as a council on where we stand with TIFs, how they can be utilized as a tool and how they have been utilized as a tool, I think will be key to your support of any changes going forward. So if there are two of you who would like to volunteer for that, I'd appreciate you grabbing me after this. As previously mentioned, the next meeting, we're going to target the 19th so that we can get that message out. If anything changes on that, if you guys look at your schedules, please let us know quickly so we can notify the public of that change as soon as possible. I don't have any other updates.
We have no reason to go into executive session, therefore I will take a motion to adjourn. Motion made by Councilman Jurens, seconded by Councilman Mormon. All those in favor of adjourning, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Good night and God bless you, Watertown.